Oh, thank you.
This
Okay.
meeting is being recorded.
Oh goodness, that really
Also,
shocked
if
me.
my typing as I'm taking notes gets in the way, you
No,
guys are getting a
no,
little
no.
echo back, please let me know.
Okay, so Brienne, start from the beginning and let us know what you've been doing.
Yes. So back, probably, I don't know how many weeks has it been? A month and a half ago. Sargata did a test run of advertisements to see if throwing money at Facebook will bring new people into the park. And the first 3 weeks, it didn't, and it was real bad. And it was like we spent $100 and we got one new person out to the park. But that new person has stuck around, so that's worth mentioning. We stopped the ads after 2 weeks after we spent that $100. The way in which we advertised is we did one $40 1 week ad. And then for the entire 2 weeks, we also had ads running at $1 per day. So we had a big bulk ad that was supposed to like send it out to 10,000 people. And then we had a $1 ad that would have shown it to however many people $1 buys over the course of 2 weeks. So we tried 2 different ways.
So you spent $101 total, or just $100 total?
I think we just spent $100 total.
Okay.
It might have even been less than that. It might have been less than that. It might have been like 75 because of the dollar a day, but that's not important.
Yeah.
What is important is that the gist of it is during the first 3 weeks, we saw no results. During the preceding 3 to 4 weeks, we saw much more results. We have about, like I said, 6 to 8 people who having had seen the advertisements, because they haven't seen them for the past 3 weeks, they've been off. Having had in the past seen those ads, it took them 3 to 4 weeks to decide this Saturday I will come out to a park.
Makes sense.
That implies a few things. One, that it takes time, obviously, for people to decide to come out. That implies that longer running ads will be more successful, which to me hints that a West March that put $1 a day to all the parks might see people come in a little bit.
Well, that totally fits the theory of people having to see the ad 7 or 8 times before showing up. So no,
absolutely.
You're right on the dot there.
Absolutely. And obviously we would need to test that more because, like I said, we haven't been running ads. What it also implies is it's also not a very obvious metric to get people out there. So it works. We don't know how. We have a vague idea of how well, but we don't know exact enough to give any parks a like reasonable idea of like, oh, if you pay $50, you will get 10 people. So it's a lot more ethereal than that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, we're really trying to prove proof of concept. We're not trying to really get, an exact.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, no. So what you're seeing is great. I mean, and you said you had roughly 7 people, or would you say you had more than 8?
Yeah, like 6 to 8. There were a couple people who have only come out once so far, and there have been 3 people who saw the ads and have come out every weekend.
So
and like that's pretty good.
Yeah, and if you got all 8 people of those to pay dues, you would have essentially just paid off your entire advertising campaign for that. I mean, I did the math. I mean, it's technically $12, but no, I mean the return on investment, basically the ROI for recruiting, that's actually pretty balanced.
So I know that we had talked about Thor's Refuge and Agers Hall as trials. Mm-hmm. Where are we at as far as doing that just for those 2 lands as an extension of what you've done with Sargata, Brienne?
We would still be interested in doing that because here in San Diego, the what would you call it? An addendum to what we did is that here in San Diego, there are 1,000 things to do on a Saturday. It's very possible that this will have much more success in areas where there is not quite so much to do.
In more rural areas, 100%. Yeah. I mean, that would make sense because that's exactly what you saw in the case study for Alaska. I mean, in theory, Alaska doesn't have a whole lot to do when it comes to.
So it's like, oh, I'll go out for Saturdays.
So their numbers spiked once they started, doing Facebook ads.
Sure.
And that definitely trends to exactly what you're saying. So I mean, it makes sense to me.
So it would still be worth it to spend some money on Agers Hall and whatever, Thor's Refuge.
I don't think that's going to change. That's great.
Yeah, we should still throw, $40 at them. What are they? Are they close to each other at all?
Not
Mm,
really.
yeah.
Adris Hall is in Lodi and Thor's Refuge is in Carmichael.
That's
Okay.
good though.
No, it's
'Cause we
good, but
don't want them muddying the results. Two
right, and
separate
the other
regions.
thing was, I thought I had seen advertising pages for like Crimsonwood or a couple of the other parks.
Let me check. I haven't seen any ads come through there.
Maybe. I haven't
Would it-
seen them, but I also don't look. So
Do you think we should still limit it to Adris Hall and Thor's Refuge? Or do you think
think
it
for
would
this-
benefit West March as a more expansive next step?
So I actually agree with both. I think that it's definitely going to really, increase West March as a whole's attendance. But I actually also don't think that we should deviate from our plan. And I think we should continue to advertise for those two specific lands because I think it's going to give us a better opportunity to refine our advertisement style. I'm sure Brian has great ideas there in terms of how we could improve from the CR data run. But if we do advertisement for those two more lands before moving to West March, that gives us the ability to fine tune it just a touch more before we dump, $100, $200, or whatever much we decide to into the kingdom. So I would recommend sticking with the plan, continuing the trial with those two lands, and then expanding to West March in phase 3, like we originally agreed upon. That's where I sit.
Brienne?
I don't think I disagree with anything that she said. I have one piece of additional information to add to what was said, which is that I believe that this is a nuanced and complicated thing, advertising on Facebook. And I believe that it will be difficult moving forward if people expect someone else to advertise for them on Facebook, unless we set up something permanent for West March and then ignore it.
I also see the value in that too going forward. I mean, after we do the trial, I can definitely see setting up Facebook and then just letting it run.
Because somebody is going to say, our park wants to put $50 more in, and then what happens? If they're not capable of actually doing that, then it is going to fall on somebody else to organize that, which is that's just going to cause.
And also, nothing we're doing is stopping parks from starting their own Facebook advertising. We're just kind of doing the umbrella level. So, I mean, if they wanted to throw $40 to do advertising, we're not going to stop them. They don't have to go through us to advertising. We're just trying to we're just trying to do some advertising for the folks that don't have time to actually do this on their behalf.
And the other side of that coin, exactly kind of playing off that, is that if people start expecting West March and expecting you guys and me to advertise for them and get pissy when we don't, I'm not going to do that.
Well, do you?
Given that point, I think it's actually, I think going forward, asking the question whether or not West March has a continuous advertising campaign, I think that's a very valid thing for us to explore in the future.
It's the easiest option, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was going to be my comment is, we had talked, I don't know if it was in this thread or another thread, but we had talked about actually adding an advertising, recruiting, marketing committee to the corpora, permanently to the corpora. And that would be a group of people, continuing from us that would oversee the Facebook advertising for the individual West March lands and West March and Come Try LARP and all of those. And, kind of the follow-up from what we are pioneering here.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't necessarily have to be us that's running it, but just getting the ball rolling.
Well, no, that's kind of what I'm saying. So I'm just kind of planting the seed that going forward, maybe there should be kind of like fundraising, whole nother topic.
Definitely.
Advertising and recruiting and that and managing all of the online presence and that we originally, the ideas of which we used to start this committee, cohort, group, whatever.
Yeah.
So kind of what I hear you saying is that you've had positive results from your trial with Shargata that you basically have personally invested in. And we're now ready to go to stage 2. Our original intention was to trial it at Thor's Refuge in Agers Hall.
Mhm.
And then we probably need to decide on how we do that and who we coordinate that with and a time period in which we do that. Maybe the end of this reign, for example.
I would do it sooner than that. I mean, honestly, we kind of already have a base plan on how to advertise for those 2 lands, and it's pretty much just repeating at this point what Sierra-Gata has done. I don't know if I would hold off that long to run the ads. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think as the 3 of us, because we're not an official committee, so we don't technically need to have a quorum, because at this point we're just in a testing phase. So honestly, I think the 3 of us should pick a couple ads and then like pull the trigger and let's start running them for Thor's Refuge and
Yeah, I didn't-
the other
yeah, I
lands.
didn't
I
mean-
don't think we should wait till the end of the reign. I think we should get this set up as soon as Azus has time to throw them into the Facebook ad.
Yeah, I
Is he the
didn't
one
mean,
who's going to do that?
yeah, I didn't mean
or,
wait
or
until,
Brandon.
yeah, I didn't mean wait till the end of the reign to implement it. I meant wait to the end of the reign to analyze the results, like give it a couple months, because Shargata, it's taken a couple months for people to see the ads and then come out.
Certainly true.
I'd say
That
4
was
weeks
what I
after
meant.
running the ad. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say interpreting the results 3 to 4 weeks after the ad campaign is finished is probably smart. And I actually have a sheet. I made a little graphic that says, "How did you hear about us?" Facebook, word of mouth, to send to the land so they could print out when they get new members and just have them check off the box. So I did make that. I think you're 100% correct. I think with that and in addition to the ad that I made, is going to be some really valuable information.
So the next step then is going to be implemented for TR and Agers Hall.
I think the
And-
next step is for us to literally pull up, is for Brian to post his link of all the ads he created for those wonderful fancy graphics. And I think we just need to pick which graphics we want to run for the ads.
I mean, we should look at the results and like see which ones people seemed to like more.
Oh, I
and just
thought you
choose
already
those.
analyzed that. Never mind. If you haven't
no.
analyzed that
No, we'll go check that out.
yet. Okay. So
But like, yeah, we put those up,
So-
we run those, and we see what happens over the course of the next month or 2.
For
okay,
TR and Agers Hall.
Yes.
so does that mean the next meeting we start running those ads and pick those ads, or after you've analyzed the results?
If you have access to the West March page, I will give them to you and you can go and set them up and press the play button on them. The only thing that's stopping us is the funds.
Yeah, and that's where Azus basically we need to do it. I don't actually think. Let me double check here. I'm not entirely sure I've actually been fully set up for the Facebook advertising in West March yet, which is it's just fine. I don't need access to that. Azus actually has plenty of access, and Brandon might
Azus,
even at this
yeah,
point.
Azus can do
I don't
that.
think I did.
I have
Okay, yeah,
access.
because I know we were fighting with that, but instead of trying to figure out how to get us access, we should probably just send the information to Azus to do it, since he already has access.
Is he familiar with doing that stuff?
I don't know, as he's not in the meeting, but we might be able to set up a meeting externally with him to walk him through it. Like if we agree that we're ready to do this, then it's just setting up a meeting with him on his off hours and turning it on.
Sure.
Um,
It would not be unbeneficial to set up some sort of tutorial so that when other lands are like, I want to do this, somebody do
Yeah.
it for me, and we go,
Yeah.
no, do it yourself. We hand them a manual. You know,
No,
like,
No, I think
Yeah.
that's an excellent idea. Can you do that?
That's gonna
I
take a
don't know
little
if
bit
I
of work.
have a manual. Like I think we could look up like 3 or 4 YouTube videos and compile them. But
So I think that might actually be like a 2-part issue, because like I feel, because I mean, Brian, running ads in Facebook is kind of complex. You have your ads.
It's a
and you have
job,
A/B
man.
yeah, you have ads and you have A/B testing, and there's so many different ways to set it up. That tutorial can get pretty expansive real fast.
Sure.
So what I actually think might be best is not to write the tutorial until we've analyzed the results and we know the tutorial we're giving them for those ad types is actually going to work.
Sure.
I definitely would agree we need a tutorial, but I think the tutorial should launch between phase 2 and phase 3, because according to my notes here, what we agreed last time is we were going to have 3 phases. Phase 2 was Thor's Refuge and
Agers Hall.
Agers Hall. And then at that point, when we were analyzing the results for phase 2, we were going to reach out to every single land and see who wanted to be included in phase 3. I think we should nest that item between phase 2 and phase 3. So
The tutorial?
The tutorial, exactly. So if they don't want to be included in phase 3, we can still give them the information for phase 2. We can still
Sure.
give them the information on how to.
I
do
like
the
that.
ad
So that
business.
in the event that they change their mind, it's like, hey, look, like you missed this ship has sailed. But if you want to do it yourself, go
Yep.
for it.
And
You know,
we've
'cause I
already
don't want to hear
tested.
people.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry,
And
go
at this
for it. I was just
point,
gonna bitch. That's
But
gonna
at that point, we've tested it with 3 different lands. We've tested it with Sargata, we've tested it with Agers Hall, and we've tested it with Thor's Refuge. So we'll know that that tutorial, in that style of setting up
Sure.
ads is a good starting point. And promising for those lands to jump off if they want to do that.
Sure.
So,
Because
so
the
yes,
whole thing, you're absolutely right that it's a job, and like people go to school to learn how to do this, and so it's not realistic to expect that anybody can pick it up. I mean, anybody can, but like you're gonna have to read 3 or 4 books, and then
I had to take
I
a
don't want-
tutorial through. I had to take an entire class through Facebook that lasted 3 days to learn all this stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Okay, so kind of what I would like to do is I wanted to record this part so that we could maybe post it on Facebook and people would be able to see what we're doing and what our plans are. And
dance.
what it looks like to me is we are going into phase 2, which is going to be opening your advertising to Thor's Refuge and Agers Hall. We're going to be analyzing that, and then going into stage 3, there will be a tutorial that we can provide to the other lands and make it more West March wide. For stage 2, we're going to need to reach out to Azus as far as funding, because it would be a West March funded advertising.
And that's
Right.
already been agreed. Yeah, but that's already been approved. I mean, Porkins has approved it, and Porkins has also, told Azus that we're good to go
Okay.
there. So as far as my understanding is, all of our funds has been approved. We literally just need to send him the picture that we're running for the ad and the copy, the text for the ads,
Okay.
because all the financial stuff has been set up.
Okay,
And
so
if
go ahead.
if that is a problem, I am open to, if you want to send me $40, I will just turn on the same ads that I have and market them to the 10 miles
West
around.
March.
If that's
Okay.
the blockage and that's the thing that stops us from doing it right now, then like we just do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we've had multiple people, agree or not agree. We've had multiple people offer to pony up the expenses for this
Sure.
For this test, but the kingdom said that they were cool running it. So I
Okay.
just say we go with the kingdom. I mean,
Okay,
Like-
great.
As long as they're
So
not delaying.
I am going to stop the recording and just kind of let this record, and then we'll check in with Azus, and then we will get this up and running for Agers Hall and Thor's Refuge. And then I'm
Cool.
going to post the recording on West March so that everybody knows what we're doing and that we're actually not excluding other lands, but we have a plan, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and that we're
And-
currently in stage 2, and
yeah.
we're going to get there.
And this is where I have to apologize, because according to not the meeting that unfortunately missed last time, but the meeting before last, that was actually on my to-do list, was to send a message to the kingdom, explain the project and explain the initiative and explain how to get involved if they want it on their land basis. And I will endeavor to actually make that happen. I'm going to apologize for missing that point on that objective. But,
Yeah, you had some personal stuff going on. Real life happens.
It's been busy. It's been
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
But I'm actually reviewing the to-do list from not this last meeting, but the previous meeting, which actually had had that on the agenda, and it also had a couple of other things that I haven't had a chance to do. Like, you know, audit every single Lance Facebook page to make sure they were up to date, and little tasks like that. So I will, I'm highlighting this whole section of this document, and I will make sure that is done by next time. And also, I'll make essentially what I'm saying is I'll make the post that explains the project, explains what we're doing and how to get involved and stuff. So
have we informed people on what actions they can take right now to better set up for these ads?
I've been actually working on getting everybody set up and migrated into Come Try LARP, and I'm about 70% of the way of having all the parks done. I'm in contact with every single park. Most parks, I just need to kind of push and say, hey, please finish filling out that form. But we're actually making really good progress on the Come Try LARP page. And I think that
do people know that like they have to have a page, not a group?
Okay, wait,
And-
have we moved on
No,
to
I
Come Try?
haven't
Wait,
actually-
have we moved on to Come Try LARP?
No, he's actually circling back to Facebook ads.
Okay.
In terms of that, no, I haven't actually approached I've talked to people about Come Try LARP, but I've not actually approached individual land monarchs yet about the advertising campaign. So I need to circle back with them and tell them, you know, this is what we're doing. This is what you need to do if you want to advertise, and explain the difference between a Facebook page and a Facebook community. So I will make sure page versus community.
Yeah, because
Make sure
from
that's
a
a
technical
priority.
standpoint, yeah, they need to have a page,
they have to have the
and they
page.
need to make sure that their page is good enough so that when new people see the page, because it's the first thing they're
Yeah.
going to see, they're not scared off by like the fact that we're weird.
Drama, or there's no posts
or
up
drama.
there, or no,
'cause somebody's going to scroll through all that stuff. So just
no,
to-
they're gonna do their research. I mean, that's kind of what
It could be
happens
their
when people are
Saturdays.
meeting strangers off the internet.
yeah, weird.
So circling back, because we've been hitting on a lot of different topics here, what exactly do we want to accomplish? Do we want to actually pick some graphics, or do we want to wait until next meeting to pick graphics and copy for Thor's Refuge and Aegir's Hall?
I mean, I'm happy to send to you. I'll go look at things in like 30 minutes after I shower, and then like I can send you the 5 most viewed ones or something if you'd like, and then at least we have them.
Yeah, I would actually really, I can't do it, unfortunately. I just tried to, but I would really love to see the analytics on what you guys pulled. That would be
I'll shoot you some data.
Yeah.
Data.
Love data. Give me all the data.
I say that
Yeah, we can do that, no problem.
and I know I'm not really well versed on this, but I would say that you pick the 5 or the 3 most viewed, and that we use those for Aegir's Hall and Thor's Refuge, so it's
agreed.
consistent.
Yeah.
And then that also gives us a constant between parks and between locations and
It's
areas.
a great baseline.
Yeah,
I agree.
a little bit of a control.
Okay, so am I understanding, just to make sure so I'm not jumping the gun, between now and the next meeting, we are going to turn on advertising for Thor's Refuge and Aegir's Hall? Because what it's sounding like is that Brianna and I are going to meet offline, go over that data, and then I'm going to forward that to David to set up the ads. Am I understanding this correctly before I go off
That
down that
was-
Sounds good to me.
tangent?
No, that was my impression, is that we're
Okay,
not waiting till the next meeting to get started. You're gonna kind of get settled and talk to Azus, and then launch the ads for TR and Aegir's Hall. And then we
Okay,
look at what happens at the next meeting.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. And I think that's great too, because if we run the ad in 2 weeks from now, that gives David 2 weeks to essentially find time to start the advertisements. That gives time for the ads to run for a week. And then we have a week to interpret the results in front of the next meeting. So, that timeline looks perfect.
And then does the data go into a West March data bank? Where does that go to analyze?
On my personal one.
It
Yeah,
does, okay.
in this case, it's going to be associated directly with the West March advertising account. So we won't have direct access to that data. But in theory, David, if you have any questions, David should be able to answer that for us.
Oh yeah, the new stuff.
And I can walk him through it if he needs to, or Brian can walk him through us if he needs to. But it's very, it's integrated and it's a little hard to find depending on what kind of ad you run. But I mean, we should be able to pull those analytics up.
Okay. All right.
Woo.
So it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like we're gonna get started finally on Idris Hall and TR and
Perfect.
like phase 2. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep recording, I think, because I think the next topic is gonna be Come Try LARP.
Yes.
Is that right?
Okay. Is that all right if I bow out here, or do you need me for anything else? I'm happy to stick around, but I
Well,
also
it's
need to
mostly
shower.
it's mostly just updating you because I already did the whole Come Try LARP spiel. So we'll actually make this really quick. Are all the other business Come Try LARP?
Come Try LARP, and then we can table the physical flyers and cards and advertising for demos and things until next month. I just wanted to get that on the agenda so that we incorporated that into part of our advertising and recruiting.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just give my 2 quick updates then, because that's what it looks like is on the rest of this agenda. So the first is Come Try LARP. We're about, I'd say, roughly about 70% of the way of having every single park added to Come Try LARP. I've been in contact with every single park. Every single park is definitely doing it. It's just a matter of whether or not they get it done this week or whether or not they get it done next week. But everybody's definitely receptive to joining that website, so no problems there. So hopefully by the next meeting, I'll be able to report a 100% rate. But at this point, we're about 70% of the way. I have found a couple of bugs within Come Try LARP itself that might impact finding some of our groups. I'm working with Dyer to try to get those sorted out. So hopefully those will be fixed in the next couple of weeks or so. His Come Try LARP admin is a very busy person. He doesn't do the programming on the website himself. He has somebody else who takes care of that for him. And that person's been a little bit engaged and busy the last the last month or two. So in terms of getting all of our land's input, that's on us. We have that taken care of. The bugs, they're getting addressed. The last thing is our West March as a Kingdom hasn't been input into Come Try LARP yet. That's the major thing we're still waiting on Dyer and his admin to address. I unfortunately don't have an ETA on that yet. They say it's probably going to be a couple more weeks. There's been a lot of personal stuff going on in their lives. But regardless, Come Try LARP is making progress. We're at 70% of the way there. Their growth and their metrics for traffic are really, 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 really encouraging. They've been doing a crap ton of advertising for Come Try LARP in general. So, I mean, I'm getting reports of people flooding in a couple of little West March lands, like 1 or 2 people, but we're seeing some pretty promising results there. So I'm pretty confident that's going to be a really good resource for the Kingdom. So in terms of Come Try LARP, that's pretty much my update. Bugs are in progress, lands are in progress. We're doing good. The next, does anybody have any questions before I move on to the next topic?
I don't.
No? Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. And the second bit of business was the DunDraCon Expo. And I already, Jody, you've listened to all this earlier, so I apologize. I gave her the update while we were waiting. DunDraCon went great. In general, the con was just a little bit smaller than in past, but the attendance was still pretty spectacular. We had 2 demos, fighting demos on Saturday and Sunday. We had about 10 people for each demo. We had a big stack of waivers. I created a flyer that I specifically used a QR code that allowed us to track how many people scanned the QR code.
Oh,
we
that's
had
cool.
10 people. Yeah, so we had 10 people actually use the QR code to find parks. In this case, I changed what I was originally going to say. I was originally going to point it to Come Try LARP, but given the fact that not every land had gotten into Come Try LARP, I actually pointed it to play.ampguard.com, which is actually another little, basically AmpGuard atlas for finding parks. But in addition to that QR code, I also had a series of links that people could have manually typed in and gone to. So just because we only had 10 scans on the QR code doesn't necessarily mean anything. We could have had a lot of people actually typing in the link manually. I just don't have any metrics for that point. But in general, I would say DunDraCon is a success. And yeah, I learned a lot from actually setting up that demo. And I actually, if I have a chance to participate next year, I think next year's demo is going to be even better. But
Cool.
yeah, no, it was a good time. Everybody had a great time. No complaints, no events. So I would say it was successful.
DungeonCon's
It's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah. I didn't get to stay very long, but I really liked what I was able to see.
Yeah, would you had to get back for like a BOD meeting or something? Is that?
Run out. It's like I have late to the BOD meeting. I'm sorry.
It's funny.
Cool.
So that's all that I had on the agenda, other than, did you guys have anything else other than setting a date for the next meeting?
No, I think at this
No,
point
just
everything's
that report.
offline. Brian and I just need to see what ads actually performed the best, and then we need to copy them over to Westmarch
Okay.
in order to run the ads for Agers Hall and
TR?
Thorns Refuge and TR. Yeah.
Beautiful. When did you guys want to meet next? Do you want to meet at the end of April, or do you want to go longer than that? The March 27th is going to be 3 weeks. Would
I-
that be enough time, do you think, or?
I think we should try 4 weeks because Brian's going to need a couple of days to analyze those ads, and then we're going to have to give David a bit of wiggle room because I know his schedule's pretty packed to actually set those ads up.
Okay.
I would
So
say
I mean,
probably 4 weeks.
We have the
Mhm.
nighting on April 2nd, and 4 weeks is going to be April 3rd, the Sunday after the nighting. Would
Do you
that
wanna do
work for
April-
you?
Either April 3rd or April 10th.
April 10th, I've got a class at like 5 o'clock.
How's your schedule for the 3rd, Brian? I mean, I'm pretty flexible.
I can be quite flexible. For what it's worth, though, it will take me probably no time to get the data on those ads because the people that showed up very clearly because they liked the idea of it, and so
Right.
we're not really in the nitty gritty of like blue buttons work best at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, no, I didn't think we were quite that far along, but no.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Could we maybe
let's
try April 3rd then?
We could try April 3rd. It wouldn't surprise me if we needed to push it out to the 10th. I mean, honestly, we're going to be working on David's timeline once he has the ability to set the ads up, and I just don't know what his schedule is. But I say if we give him 2 weeks to set it up, that should probably be fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the 3rd will be okay.
6
The
PM,
only thing that
same
would
time?
push it- Yeah, I'm good with that.
The only thing what? Go ahead.
The only thing I could see is if David doesn't have a chance to start the ads by the 27th, we might want to push it to the 10th just so we can let those run the full length. But I think
We
it's
should
gonna
just
be
sit
fine.
down with the guy, be like, "Hey, we need 30 minutes of your time," and like
I mean,
walk him
that's
through
honestly
it.
It's going to be 30
Yeah.
minutes. I mean, no more than absolutely no more than an hour. And,
Yeah,
I can
don't
do
think
the-
so.
I can do the 10th, but it probably won't be until 7. I'm not sure. I don't know about daylight savings, and I've got a 2-hour class that starts either at 4 or 5.
I think the 3rd is going to be fine.
Okay, we can push it
Oh,
back,
sure.
and then we can even make an announcement if we kind of want to start doing that on Westmarch and let everybody know that we're meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So if it's okay with you guys, April 3rd at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, and then we can be flexible. We can push it back like we did this one.
Yeah. if we
Cool.
need to.
Okay, super. So I think, did you guys have anything else other than a shower?
Nope,
no,
that's
actually-
next on my list.
Okay, please.
Actually, Brianne, what I'd like to do is actually schedule a time for you and I before you jump into this call, so we can actually
Sure, sure.
Okay.
finish this.
I mean,
I
if
am
you
gonna,
wanna,
I'm gonna stop the recording
Yeah, that
and I'm
works.
gonna bow out,
Bye,
and then
everyone.
I am going to put the recording on Westmarch. You guys good with that?
sure.
Yeah, let's go
Bye,
transparent.
Westmarch.
Exciting.
Hi, Westmarch.
Good night. Thanks, you guys. You're awesome.
Good night.